Nanotyrannus. Someone once said that name alone lit the matches of debate within paleontological circles like no other. Seeing the comment section on some of our videos, I would be hard-pressed to disagree. It has almost been 2 years since our Nanotyrannus Back from the Dead episode, and I think today we can finally put that argument to rest. Brand new and very exciting research just made its debut in Nature on October 30th, 2025. This article, Nanotyrannus and Tyrannosaurus Coexisted at the Close of the Cretaceous by Lindsay E. Zano and James G. Napoli, is fantastic and really helps shine a light on an ecosystem that still has so many riddles to divulge. Which first, make sure to go read the article and really see all the fantastic research Lindsay and James did. Likewise, James has posted a video on YouTube, so go check that one out as well. Make sure to actually just go check those ones out first. But let's get back to the episode. In an attempt to try to not repeat our previous episode too much, we will do just a quick recap of the history of Nanotyrannus. The holotype, a small skull, was collected in 1942 and described as a new species of Gorgosaurus, Gorgosaurus lancensis, in 1946 by Charles W. Gilmore. In 1988, with further research, the skull was redescribed as Nanotyrannus by Robert T. Bacher, Michael Williams, and Phil Curry. Analysis in 1999 by Thomas Carr indicated the specimen was immature, and thus the idea of it being a juvenile rex became prominent. In 2001, a more complete specimen was uncovered. This specimen, nicknamed Jane, was also immature and led some to also agree Nano was simply a juvenile rex. Though not everyone agreed with this theory, including Peter Larson, who continued his support of the Nanotyrannus hypothesis. In 2006, a remarkable specimen was discovered by Clayton Phipps, Mark Eatman, and Chad O'Connor in Montana. Now, news really didn't hit the mainstream about this one until around 2011-ish, and unfortunately, due to legal proceedings and all that kind of stuff, the specimen would sit away from the public eye. But after a lengthy process, in the year 2020, the specimen was acquired by the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences. It was actually revealed to the public in 2024. So this brings us to the present and the amazing work done by Lindsay Zano, James Napoli, and team on the dueling Dinosaurus-Tyrannosaurus specimen. Long story short, the Tyrannosaurus specimen collected is indeed Nanotyrannus. The question you may be asking is, why? What distinguishes it from Tyrannosaurus rex? Well, one of the biggest things brought up in the specimen is it's actually an adult. Looking at a specimen from the thigh, the dueling dino specimen was between 20 and 22 years of age. This can be seen, much like tree rings, thanks to external fundamental system, showcasing growth lines becoming closer and closer via tightly packed, slow-growing bone tissue. This was a major discovery. As mentioned earlier, the couple earlier specimens were juvenile, so to find an adult was huge. But what else helped showcase this wasn't rex? So let's start with the skull and any theropod's talking points in the media, and that's its teeth. Nanos have always had higher teeth counts. This was often explained away with ontogeny, even with closely related dinosaurs like Tarbosaurus not going through drastic changes and remaining consistent amongst younger and older specimens in their teeth count. What does this mean? Well, looking at Nanotyrannus had 15 to 17 maxillary teeth, which, comparing it to Rex, only had up to 12. Nano also featured a curious characteristic. This one, for me, really was one of those oh yeah moments. That being the pneumatic foramen in the quadratojugal bone. Something seen in Nano but not Rex. Napoli showed in his work with living crocodilians the presence or absence of sinuses in particular bones is useful for species identification, even in juveniles. And some bones in Nano are larger than even that of the biggest specimens of Rex. I mean, look at this comparison between the arms of Rex and Nanotyrannus. at a 1-to-1 comparison. I mean, right there, it's pretty crazy. I don't see any animals where the arms actually get smaller as they get bigger, especially when they're bigger than Sue. I mean, that's crazy. Moving a little bit further to the tail, we also see T-Rex contained about 43 quadril vertebrae, which compared to Nano's 35. Really, all this and a whole lot more really seem like a pretty conclusive finding that Nano is indeed not a juvenile T-Rex. And really, it's become really hard to argue in favor of it being a Rex when it really lacks diagnostic traits of T-Rex itself. So to kind of wrap this one up, the dueling dinosaur specimen, which along with the holotype skull, which it does share autapomorphies with, are Nanotyrannus lancensis. But I'm sure you can tell I didn't say Jane. But that's not because Jane is a juvenile Rex, but because, more amazingly, Jane is a juvenile of a second species of Nanotyrannus. That's right, we don't just get one nano, but two, with Jane being Nanotyrannus lethaeus, named after the river Lethe in Greco-Roman mythology, which perhaps the quote at the start makes a lot more sense now. Jane, being a juvenile, is estimated to have reached an adult size of over 1,200 kilograms, with Jane already being around 800. Jane would have been about 7 meters long, 2 meters high, while the dueling dinosaur specimen, which is an adult, was only a little over 700 kilograms. So overall, really exciting news, and it's been kind of a fun little journey for us as well. We really didn't get to talk too much about Nano up until we did get to visit the Morrison Natural History Museum here in Morrison, Colorado, and get to see their specimen and get to talk to some people more about what made or didn't make a Nano, as well as when I met Peter Larson and just hearing some of the reasoning, and of course the previous paper and now definitely this one. I mean, even looking at this skull from the dueling dino specimen, it doesn't look what I would kind of picture a juvenile Rex to look like. Definitely looks more along the lines of like those, long-snouted tyrannosaurs like Alioramus. Now, there has been some arguments, whereas the juvenile Rex as well. I do believe there is one here at the Denver Museum right now, just kind of looking at some of these traits and looking at how just more robust that one is. But with more studies, we'll figure out more about that, which was kind of teased by Lindsay Zano saying, there's more to come. So we'll just stay tuned. I've been really excited to talk about this. But like I said at the start, make sure to go support the actual paleontologists who are doing the hard work by either checking out that video and definitely checking out the paper, as well as James did a Q&A type of video, and you can visit this specimen in the North Carolina Museum. Now, eventually I will do a proper episode on like Nanotyrannus lancensis and lethaeus, but I do want to actually travel out to North Carolina and get some nice footage for you guys, like we do with like Tiny the Torosaurus, or like we did with Big Al. So stay tuned. This was pretty exciting for me. Definitely one of those hot topic issues within the paleontology circles. Juvenile Rex versus adult Nanotyrannus. And it's solved, which is super fantastic. I haven't done anything as cool as this. I know my coolest thing was finding Joe Antrim's grave, which was lost for 94 years, which was a big thing in the Billy community. So I can only imagine all the love that's going out to James, Lindsay, and team, which I've kind of seen on social media, and it's been good to just see people, even if they didn't believe it was a nano, say, hey, I was wrong, this study is conclusive. It really puts the burden of proof on the opposite people to disprove it, right? But I will be back. I definitely am working on a couple different Fossil Frenzy episodes, so stay tuned. Those will be more in line with like the Tiny episode or Big Al, rather than these news ones like when we did this or Tamaraptor, but I definitely wanted to share it. But until next time, guys, for more Fossil Frenzy episodes, check that link to your left. For more here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. And let us know, pre this paper, where were you standing on the nano battle? Did you think it was juvenile or adult Nanotyrannus? Tell us in those comments below.